So we have Melissa Haas at the end, and she's with Hope Quest, and we have Karen Potter with Covenant Eyes. Yeah. And you live in Michigan and you live in Georgia, but you have a similar calling of things to talk about. And so what's Covenant Eyes? Let's start with that.
Yeah, I'll start with that.
Okay.
So Covenant Eyes actually is a internet safety company. We do screen accountability. We help people overcome pornography challenges. We've been around for 22 years. Our founder, Rhonda Haas, actually started the company with a mission to help families because it was when the internet was coming of age, and he saw on the horizon a problem, and he knew that he needed to help try to find the solution. So he started Covenant Eyes as a way to protect families, protect children, and we have just grown into a ministry that serves men, women, churches, and then also families as well. So we've really grown and expanded our ministry offering.
That's awesome.
Wow.
I know a guy said, I can't have a computer because, you know, I'd watch pornography. You know, it's such a draw.
It is.
And they draw you in, the ads even. I'm like, I cover up my computer for ads that might, not that kind, but I'm just saying it's ridiculous. Anyway, and what is Hope Quest?
So Hope Quest is a family of ministries that helps people struggling with addiction overcome addiction and find freedom in life. And one of the things that we work with is sexual addiction because you know, a lot of people know about alcoholism and drug addiction, but with the internet and pornography addiction and other our culture is just very sexualized, and so it's very easy for our relationship with sex to get out of balance, not to have healthy sexual relationship with ourselves, with God, with others. And so we help people find freedom in life who are struggling in that way.
Well, I can't tell you how many women that we've had, and I know there's men too, that have been violated. That was the word that another guest used. As children, I mean, you know, even as teenagers and adults. I mean, it's incredible. I'm like, is anybody normal? I mean, it's. I guess we're not. Well, that's why we need a savior. But so, tell us more.
Yeah, well, you know, the thing, you bring up a good point, is anyone normal? And really, so many of us, most of us, frankly, come to the table with some form of sexual brokenness, you know, whether it struggles with pornography or things in our past or abuse or just a misunderstanding of what, you know, sexual intimacy is in the marriage and things like that. So we are a tool. Covenant Eyes is a software. We're a tool that helps people overcome pornography, but it has to be coupled with a holistic healing package because we know that pornography is just a symptom. It's a deeper issue that has to be addressed. There's something going on at the root that's driving people to pornography. A lot of times they're exposed at a young age. It's not their fault, right? They're kids. They see these things innocently, and men and women are drawn into pornography. And so over time it becomes an addiction because of the neuroscience. So we really couple our resources, our software with ministries that can also serve the whole body, the whole person, which I think is really important.
How does that software work? Because we were talking beforehand, and I go to a retreat center. It's just for ministers. Yeah. And when you go there and you just get this whole house to yourself, it's on 100 and some acres and you can stay there. And then they tell you that they have Covenant Eyes on the computer if you use their computer. But I never use a computer, so I didn't know what that meant. What does that really mean when they have it on their device?
Yeah. So Covenant Eyes can be installed on your devices such as a computer, and what it does is it operates in the background and monitors the activity that's happening on that device. And so we really we pride ourselves on focusing on that accountability relationship. So it's not so much about blocking things. You can use a blocker with our software, but it's more about being accountable for the choices you make online. So the beauty of Covenant Eyes is that when it's installed on your devices, it monitors the activity and reports it to an ally, a friend that you choose in a report. We have a new app that actually features all of your activity, and so your partner can log in and take a look at that. And the reason that's important is that it's a choice to be accountable, not forced accountability. You know, you can put a blocker on, like I said, but that's not the way that you're going to develop healthy relationships.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I've heard statistics that whether you have a convention of Christians or whether you have a secular convention, the pornography rate doesn't change. So that tells you it's a struggle everywhere for everyone.
Yes.
You know, just and we do need help with this.
Statistics tell us that 1 in 7 pastors and 1 in 5 youth pastors is struggling with pornography, and that's self-reported data. So imagine the pastors that are not comfortable reporting that information, and that's just our pastoral staff in our country. So definitely troubling statistics.
If I could go back just a little bit, talking about putting the software on your computer, can you put it across your devices?
You can,
okay.
Yes, yes. And our plan is lovely because it allows you to get all of the users in the home. So every family member can have their own user account, and it can be installed on all of their different devices. So if you have a Mac and you have an iPhone and all of those different pieces, it can go across those different platforms.
How did you two get started in this?
Good question.
Well, so I actually am in a marriage with a man who struggled with sexual addiction. We served as missionaries in Kenya when his sexual addiction was discovered, and it ended our missionary career. And we started a journey together of recovery and healing. And today we've been married 31 years. He's an amazing guy who's been so courageous to work on the things that drove him to addiction. And so we've worked really hard to restore our marriage. And I think for me, one of the things that has happened as a spouse of someone who struggled and going through the betrayal of that and being honest about my pain and having other people to support me in that, but also watching him deal with the things that, you know, caused him to struggle in that way. His childhood sexual abuse, his exposure to pornography early on, and having a lot of compassion for the little guy who a lot of things happened to that were outside of his control, and caused him as an adult to make really poor choices and hurtful choices and sinful choices. But as I watched him just wrestle with that and grow through that and let God heal him in the body of Christ with good counseling, it gave me a different mission. We worked with an unreached people group when we were missionaries, and so I've often joked that God gave us a new unreached people group, and that is believers in the body of Christ who struggle with sexual addiction and don't know what to do about it because we don't talk about our sexuality in the church. We don't do a good job of discipling people sexually. So it's been really a lifelong passion for me to give back out of my own healing journey. And so I'm grateful to be able to do that.
A little bit different. I actually joined Covenant Eyes because I'm a mom and I'm a wife, and I was watching the rapid decay in culture and the pornified culture in our technology, in our social media, in our media. I was just concerned. So I actually joined because of the mission that Covenant Eyes has to serve the church and to serve families well. And I just wanted to advocate for my husband, for other men and women, for marriages, and mostly for my children who have to grow up in this environment that is over-sexualized in so many ways, and it's luring them in.
And it's always been there, but not like this.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember when my youngest son, he was maybe, I don't know, less than 15, maybe 8, 9, 10, and he's now 30, but I can remember watching a commercial back then, like was on at 8 or 9 o'clock, like kids shouldn't have been necessarily asleep. And I'm like, how do you take this out of this commercial out of his...
How do you unsee it?
How do you unsee it? Like, what's he supposed to do with that?
Yep.
And so, yeah, it really is. And I mean, it's worse now. But
and kids carry around computers in their pockets. And if you have a smartphone, you have access. Yep. So, and, you know, children's brains aren't developed, and teenagers' brains aren't developed. So you have... just the way our body, we talk about what fires together wires together. So if you see porn, it's going to be exciting and arousing for your brain. And if you're not at an age where you can make sense of it, it will actually create a neural connection inside of your brain that goes right to the pleasure center of your brain, feels powerful and strong. And if you happen to be a kid who's alone or feeling anxious about something, you actually create this pattern of whenever I feel anxious or alone or sad, I can look at porn and I get a whole different kind of sensation in my body. It changes my mood, it makes me feel powerful and competent and loved and secure. And so you're getting not just a hit of dopamine from the pleasure of it, but you're also creating psychological, emotional connections for yourself that if I'm feeling bad or sad, this will make me feel better. And that's why pornography is so addictive.
And it's so sad because we just had a big sting that hit in our area of these men that were much older men preying on the young ones on the internet.
Yeah.
And I mean, people that are watching it, it's so sad. I just feel so sad about it because they're addicted and now they're going to prison. They've been exposed all over the news. 15 and under, they've been trying to get the sexual hookups with these young kids, and they caught them. So we just had a big sting the other day on the news.
Wow.
So these men are going away. They're not playing games for a long time to prison.
Yeah.
Just trying to connect with younger ones.
Yeah.
It's very serious.
I think that link to sex trafficking is not something that's talked about a lot either. You know, we don't think about that. The fact that the pornography industry is fueling that movement and all of that. You know, we think that the people in the porn industry want to be there, but oftentimes that's not the case. And so there's that element as well. As Christians, like, I have a heart, you know, to help those people as well because, you know, a lot of them are in that because they had no other choice. And so it's a difficult situation.
Talk a little bit about how people come to you to find the help. How do you reach out to the people who have been victimized? How are you growing your, I don't know if you call it a clientele, or how are you able to help people? Or how can they find help?
I can speak on behalf of Covenant Eyes. We work with churches all over the country. So we find that's a really great place to start because often when people are hurting, when marriages are falling apart, when families are broken, you know, they will look to their church, their local body for support and healing. So we try to just give churches resources, programs. We have tons of free resources and programs that are available to churches to use, to give to people to help them start that journey. That's one way. And then the other way is that, you know, we're out talking to people just like you guys about this topic and letting people know that this is actually a pretty significant issue in our country and it's something that we really need to talk about more frequently so it becomes normal and then we can start to find hope and healing.
Yeah, and on the HopeQuest side, we're partners with Covenant Eyes. So if someone calls and says, hey, my addiction is out of control and it's causing me I've lost my job, I'm about to lose my marriage, we have a treatment center, residential treatment center that's 90 days that men can come into to work on their addictions. And we also have a curriculum that churches use for men who are struggling and also for their spouses that we sell so that we can help believers who are just walking through this pain get better and find community for each other where there's grace and healing. So, you know, for us, we use people like Covenant Eyes and other referral partners, therapists who are seeing clients who are really struggling to come to us. And our website, www.hopequest.us, tells you all about the services we offer.
So you talk about men, but there's also a growing statistic, isn't there, of women?
Yes.
Yep.
There is.
33% of Christian women are struggling with pornography, and that number was from 2016. So we would imagine that number to be much higher now.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
So how do you help the women who are?
So we do individual counseling with someone. We don't have a treatment program for them currently, but there are treatment centers across the nation, and increasingly. There are secular therapists who do certified sexual addiction therapies, and increasingly Christians are joining that movement because sexual addiction has become such a problem in the church. I think the women who are struggling with pornography are generally younger women, this age of being online. Our generation of women struggled more with erotic romance novels and those kinds of things, but more and more we see digital addictions coming with the younger generations. So as a therapist, I have 2 females in my practice currently who struggle with pornography addiction, and we just walk through where are the roots for that. And they are on Covenant Eyes. They use Covenant Eyes for their accountability software, and they have allies that help them, and they go to support groups. So I think we're beginning to see a better support network for women who struggle. And there's some good resources out there for women who are struggling because there's unique shame attached to women if we struggle this way. it seems to be more shameful for us. Kind of we expect it with men, which isn't right, but men just do that. But women, that's kind of a very shameful place for women. So as I love that Covenant Eyes targets women and helps them develop community, because that is such a shameful, lonely place for women who struggle. And if you are a woman who struggles, I just want you to know there is help and there is hope. And you can find people who will walk with you out of these struggles into a healthy relationship with your sexuality and with God and yourself.
Share some of those success stories.
Well, I think for the one I'm most personally acquainted with is my own marriage, and watching my husband do his journey in counseling and begin to, we say in our recovery world that the opposite of addiction is not sobriety. The opposite of addiction is connection. And at the core, sexual addiction and pornography addiction is about unmet longings and unmet needs for connection. And sex is this beautiful gift God has given us that gives us comfort, rest, security. We feel loved. It's very powerful. And of course, the enemy goes after it and targets it because he doesn't want us to have a healthy sexuality. And the consequences of sexual choices are so profound.
Hey everyone, hope you enjoyed the video. To see more like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button below and get all the latest content from TCT Ministries. We'd love to pray alongside you for God's blessings in your life, so you can email your prayer requests to prayer@tct.tv or click the link below and submit your request at tct.tv. God bless you and thank you for watching.